I'm a little behind schedule. And anyways, folks, welcome to another House Coach Chat number 74. A little later broadcast than I've done before, but oh well, and so be it. It is a show. I am live. I am speaking to you. This isn't pre-recorded. None of my shows have been pre-recorded, unless when I started way back in the day with Clipchamp, and I made videos to upload, and that was quite the process. Got tired of doing that. I'd rather be live, warts and all, folks. Yes, warts and all. After all, I am a human being. I am not AI. I'm not programming, and I'm definitely not paid by the government to tell you a lie. Hello, Rosie O'Barton. Yes, folks. Anyways, yes, it is late in the evening. Just want to give a shout out to Coca-Cola and the new cherry float. Oh, it is a nice pop. Treat myself. I don't normally drink a lot of pop anymore, but it was on sale and I had to try it. Maybe Coca-Cola will support my show. Anyways, this is for fun, folks. It's a hobby. Don't take me too seriously, but have a listen. The only reason I say that is, after all, I'm in a house coat. I'm wearing a hat, got sunglasses on, got a new trick light. See if this works for you. Woo! The police are coming. I'll be using that a little later. Danica thought it would be good for my show, and I set it up and stuff. I just like you all to know, it's a shout out to all the people that actually make a show and do this for a living. Is the preparation that you guys have to do, setting up the lights, making sure your equipment work, tests, and everything else, making notes. I bought myself a new notebook today. It's bigger than my old one, and even though you probably can't see my words that are written on there, that is fine. Also, like I said, I'm going to hopefully be doing a book review. If you've seen my profile for this video on YouTube later, it should list it that I'm doing a GAD SAAD book review. Having said that, it's because I've got other books which we can't really see at the moment. There we go. Jim McMurdy's book, which I've read and kind of reviewed, and I hope people give him a follow on X and elsewhere. Even buy his book, get the book from the library. I believe it's called The Scarlet Letter. I could be wrong and stuff, even though I could just grab the book right up there. It is a good read about a teacher who was fired because he wanted to be honest with his students and not have the hoax of the so-called residential school programs. Anyways, folks, how you all doing? I hope you're all doing well and stuff. It's been a crazy few days. I don't really want to go into dark subject matters because that restricts my views on YouTube. Maybe I should be doing a show on Rumble. I might try that because they're not so restrictive if certain buzzwords are used when I broadcast. That's how it's flagged. I guess artificial intelligence, so to speak, listens in while I am talking and flags me for certain things that I may say. That's YouTube's prerogative, and I am here to use their services and try and get my show out there. Well, that's the way it is. Anyways, folks, what can I tell you is that the state of Canada and all that, I mean, seriously, what can we say that we have with Michael Mott announcing the Chinese use of forced labor, which has been well documented over years of research by human rights watch groups, Uyghur people who are speaking out against the treatment of their own Uyghur Muslims? I mean, you can't make it up. It's not truly just propaganda made by the Central Intelligence Agency out of the United States of America. Torture is out there in the forced labor market, so to speak. I don't know why I just said that, other than to say, here's a sidebar for you. Did you know that you can get an app to buy a slave? Yes, you can, folks. Get that, eh? Here we are in this part of the world where we're saying, oh, everything is atrocious. America is bad. Canada's bad for how we treated all these people way back in the day. Meanwhile, in the middle part of the world, there's an open slave market. Ever since we took out Libya, folks, there is an open slave market in Libya. Shit you not. And I shouldn't really swear this early in the video either, but I learn as I go, folks. And it's just crazy. I mean, Michael Ma's comment Carney's comments on it, and I just recently, within the last 20 minutes, basically, because I like to have a pee before I do a show so that I'm comfortable and I don't have to go. Right? Anyways, while I was sitting on the throne with my trusty iPad, which is right here, folks, I just got informed in a way through a news broadcast that Carney was told by Xi, the leader of West Taiwan, China, folks, the CCP president de facto dictator who self-elected himself several times over the course of his illustrious political reign of China, has told Carney to tone down the rhetorics towards China. Holy shit, folks, we have a security, I just swore, but we have a security agreement with this country that none of us know. Not even members of the House of Commons. All of them know. The opposition parties don't know. Maybe even the RCMP doesn't even know. I'm stretching that one, folks, but yes, isn't that a concern? Mark Carney was told by Xi. Again, Mark Carney, our prime minister, was told by Xi when they were in China to tone down the rhetorics regarding China. Yes, that is wonderful, folks. Canada is no longer a true country. We are a narco-communist wannabe banana republic led by an idiocracy in Parliament. Yes, it is a shit show, and yes, I'll swear. What the heck? I did click that it's not meant for kids for YouTube, so there you go. It's not meant for kids. I really don't want kids to listen to my show. Maybe young adults that are mature, but not kids. Right? Anyways, folks, all that going on, we have the Bill C9, which is going to criminalize hate speech even further, so vaguely, so wordedly underworded, I should say, not overly worded, underworded, because there's no clear definition of hate. They've lowered the threshold to basically whatever the person who's reading the law in the government can interpret it, which sucks because governments change and the people who are in power play with the rules. And we have seen that in Canada regarding our government and the use of the Emergencies Act and the fact that two courts have struck down what the government has done as illegal and wrong on the citizens, no matter which side of the fence you are for the Freedom Convoy, the month-long protests, the bouncy castle thing. Not much was done there other than annoyance to the city of Ottawa, which Ottawa could have done a lot differently. But yes, the court struck down the use of the Emergency Act. Our lovely government waited till the very, very last minute to apply an appeal to all this. Yes, folks, it is nuts, and Bill C9 is now going on its way to the Senate, which to me, I have to tell you something, means that our members of parliament, minus Todd Doherty, voted no against it, but yet it passed. It is now in the hands of the Senate. As a public speaking person, as a taxpayer, as a citizen of Canada, as a person who likes free speech, even if it sucks, even if it's harmful, even if it's offensive, yes, free speech is paramount in my mind, because how else do you know who the assholes are? And how do you not grow as a society if you don't risk to offend? Right? These things are important. The fact that we have languages that are proposed and changes in our laws that are trying to tell us we are being forced to compel someone's pronouns. I should not be forced to compel to anybody with my own tongue, so to speak. You know what I mean? And I shouldn't be charged with a crime if I refuse to engage in the other person's behavior of how they want to be introduced. First comes respect. You have to earn it. It is a two-way street, so to speak. If I like you and you like me and you are wanting to use the pronoun, so to speak, I could go along with that, but I should not be forced to go into that. So, as I said, the senators, and hopefully because of glasses and everything else, I will be able to read my senators' names. Should be memorizing them, but like I said, I absorb a lot of information. Notebook here is to help me out. So anyways, folks, I have Bev Benson. She is one of my senators. I have, and I am really going to probably butcher this name, but Baltage, an East Indian name. And anybody who's listening that's East Indian, I really apologize. I am hard of hearing, have a speech impediment, Bell palsy, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, Singh Dillion. And there's also Margot Greenwood, and another senator is, I'm going to, Johan, I hope Johan Martin. Sorry about that, folks. Sometimes names and I get a bit tongue-tied. And there is Duncan Wilson. Yes, Duncan Wilson and Juan Po Wu. I probably butchered that last name. I apologize. No disrespect to my senators, but I just want to say this to my 6 senators. I will be writing a letter to each one of you because you are my representative in the Senate. And I really, really do not want to see this Bill C9 passed, not just for religious reasons, but just for the simple fact of free speech should be free, and the government shouldn't be interfering with how the public speaks. It truly should not. If the government fears us for the way we speak, they're not a good government. Think on that one. They are not good. No government in the history of the world that has censored the public has ended up being good for the public, right? Look at Nepal when it tried to shut down social media. Chaos, folks, chaos. And it was really a sight to see people torching the palace because the government decided to kill the internet. And that kind of brings me to my next little thing that I want to talk about, and that is the Prime Minister of UK, the Prime Minister of Canada, and the Prime Minister of Australia are apparently trying to work to try and ban X from the social media landscape in these 3 respecting countries. And I have a big problem with that because, well, without X, I would have not been able to tell my mom that, hey, stay at the hotel. There is shit happening in Mexico. She was there. Thankfully, there was bearing problems with that bus, and they never ventured into town. That might have got some cool photos. I don't know. But I would not like my mom or anybody else's mother to be in danger. And thanks to X, I was able to quickly get a hold of my mom. Thankfully, she was on the beach, and she couldn't believe her ears when I told her. So if CBC couldn't do it, if Global Affairs Canada couldn't tell the Canadian citizens what's going on right away, but a social media platform that is used around the world openly by people to discuss anything that they ever wanted within reason. I'm pretty sure child stuff is not allowed. You know what I mean? The people that are creepers, yes, folks, I'm pretty sure they don't allow that. There may be pockets in it somewhere. I don't know. They speak in code, and I don't like it, you know? And I don't think anybody does, but those are Scrooges, and they deserve to be off planet, folks. But yes, X is a wonderful site. It's where I do most of my news gathering now. I do not go to CBC News. CBC News is on X. I don't go to anybody else but X because that's there. And the search bar is there. If I want to know more about what's going on in Venezuela by whoever is tweeting about Venezuela, I can learn what they just said about Venezuela. Keyword search in the search bar. It is a wonderful tool. Why I tell people to read more, folks. Yes, read more. I'm trying to find out where my minutes are that I'm talking. I can't see it at the moment, but that is okay. It don't matter. What matters, I guess, is I'll just keep chatting on here. I don't think it's the 30-minute mark yet, but usually there's a counter on my screen and I don't see it. Not a big deal. Anyways, I just wanted to check how my minutes are going. But yes, Bill C9, the fact of 3 heads of government, all connected somehow, wanting to ban a platform that has put them on the hot seat in each of their own countries by the simple fact of people being honest to themselves and saying, we don't like what the government is doing, and exposing it. There are countless independent people on social media that are doing better news services than our taxpayer-funded media. You know, I could give you examples of Canada as a Scooper Cooper. My mom read a book of his. and he is the head of the Peru, an independent news organization. The real Andy Lee, affiliated with Rebel News. She is a wonderful source of information on the Chinese interference. In fact, we posted her stuff on X today, and I included Mark Carney's name in. Explain how you just met up with this Chinese organization that you denied meeting. Explain it. We can't, because the proof's in the photo and the proof is in the words of the article. It is that simple. So Andy Lee, Scooper Cooper, for shits and giggles, I like the pleb. He does a nice little podcast with some humor. He's a decent fellow. He's been doing the show a long time. Hopefully he'll get the rest of his Travago teeth done. I like the guy. Kudos to him for trying to fix his teeth this way. But he's going to have some big teeth. No matter. He is a good fellow. Just like I said, for shits and giggles on what the liberals and everything else are doing, he is good for that. I also listen to a whole host of other people. James O'Keefe, he is out of the United States. He has done major expose and exposing so many things in the United States that I couldn't go on and on for all the things he's exposed. Redacted News is a good organization that I like. I haven't really listened to them a lot lately, but I did catch an episode on stuff that's going on in the world events that are in the Middle East. Yes, folks. So anyways, yes, Bill C9. Like I said, I'm going to be writing letters to my senators. I do believe my printer may have kicked the bucket. I can't get over that. Like the stuff that we buy today doesn't last, but technology changes, codeware, firmware, whatever it may be, but the price of ink is through the roof still, isn't it? That's the one thing they got on printers. You can buy a whole machine, but boy, oh boy, the ink is like, wow. Right? So, yes, but I'm only going to ask you as a listener, whether you're in Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Nunavut, wherever you are, Newfoundland, please contact your senators on Bill C9 if you object to it. I don't care if you write a letter like me. I have phone numbers as well. I was tempted to do a phone call, but at 7 o'clock in the evening in BC time, I don't think I'm going to get anybody in the office. Remember, I've done this before. I have phoned people up in the government on my show that's on previous episodes, blah, blah, blah. Yes, Gabio's talking. I know, folks, I know. And I really want to get away from the word folk and stuff like that. I don't want to sound old, and I don't want to make you sound like you are old either. We are people, we are Canadian. Like I said, all the things that are going on in this country, I mean, really, we can go on about like the distractions and the divide, the people that are for the residential school massacre. Oh, there was bodies there, and those that are against it. That divide and chasm is so wide, it blows my mind when all people have to do is dig to get to the truth. And we heard the lady Casimir Chief in Kamloops. It may take years to dig. Oh, if I lived in Kamloops, folks, I probably would be filming myself digging in the Kamloops school ground until I was arrested. Yes, I would. But could you imagine that? I will have the world and the liberal media hating me, trying to tie me into this little organization behind me here as some kind of evil person, when all I am is a dude in a house coat who likes to read and watch the news because like I said before in my videos, I used to read the papers and deliver them. I read both of them, two editions of two different newspapers before I delivered them. Yeah, let's have a quick break here, folks. And a shout out to the people that actually do this for a living, because boy, oh boy, they put your face on the screen every day and act like everything's okay when the whole world, in your world, could be chaotic, and your preparation to do the job, and you're doing a banger. There's so many of you out there, I could say like Jasmine Lane and a few others that I've seen. A lot of people are inspiration. There's a Frankie McDonald or McDonough. He's a special needs person in a way. He does his own podcast. He's great. I love him. He is who he is, but he does a good little show for himself. It's kind of inspiring in a way, which is why I'm doing this in a small way, partly because of Frankie, but lots what to do with the names that I've mentioned also in previous episodes and this one. Woo! Well, folks, let's just get right to this here. I guess that's the best way to try and put that. See, The Parasitic Mind by GAD SAAD. I'm about, if we can see my little piece of paper in there. No, you can't. Anyways, I'm about page 100. That's just about halfway in the book. There's a lot of reference pages in the back. All I could say is I think a lot of people should read this book, The Parasitic Mind, about how we have lost a culture, basically, of society of common sense and are trying to interject such nonsense into our lives under a banality of idiocracy, so to speak. I mean, I'm not trying to knock anybody down, but when most of the left wing media is like left leaning, our institution, I shouldn't have said left wing media is left wing, that's an obvious statement. But I mean, most of our media personalities, especially in the United States and Canada, are left leaning. Most of our academic people are left leaning. And, a lot of our politicians, in a way, and the people that are growing up in these institutions are left leaning. And it's wonderful, I mean, how else can you put it that says that, when we were young, we were more liberal minded? Excuse me, there's the Coca Cola burp. And, the older we get, we become more conservative in life. Whew. Anyway, that is a good pop. Yeah, sorry for the belching, and I hope that doesn't upset anybody watching. But yes, folks, it is mind-numbing to see how many people are captured with the idea that we need safe spaces. We need to avoid trigger words. We need to, have diversity, equity, and inclusion at all costs. Whether, like air traffic controllers. Does a blind man need to be an air traffic controller? Does a person who has an IQ of 70 become a brain surgeon? Should we allow that? Do you know what I mean? This is some of the idiocracy stuff that I've been reading in this book. GAD SAAD is a wonderful mind. He is like a sociologist and a few other things, human behavior studying. He is a Lebanese Jew. That's a tough one in a way, But guess what, folks? He has a history of, seeing what's happened as a youth in his own country. Some of the things which I will not discuss here, they're in his books on his own podcast. If you have not seen him, go check out The Sad Truth. Yeah, I personally haven't actually caught a Sad Truth episode. I have seen him speak on several occasions on different types of videos, but The Sad Truth, SAAD TRUTH. He is humorous as well, folks. He loves animals, so to speak. Dogs are his best friend. He's a likable person, and he writes this book very well, methodically explains his point of view on why the world is losing touch with basically common sense, and we're fracturing, and we are creating chaos within our society by trying to have pronouns, so to speak, by doing the diversity, equity, inclusion, by doing SOGI. Like he was having discussions, folks, with other people who are of like mind but liberal leaning, the left side of the hockey team, so to speak. And he asked them, okay, at the point blank discussion, can men get pregnant? And she scoffed and got mad and gave him a runaround answer in a you'd have to read the book yourself, but she had to say that there were certain tribes, I guess, back in Japan before it became what it is today, believed that men spiritually can give birth. I mean, if that's how you're going to frame your win, men cannot give birth. You know what? Yes, surgery is going to get to the point where they're going to shove a uterus in a man's body just to see if it can be done. But the sad part of the truth, and get this, is the hips, folks. A baby's head cannot pass through an adult male's hip if it's going through the birth canal. On a woman with a woman's hip, a baby's head can fit through the hips. If that science creation of putting a uterus in a man happens, they're going to have to give it birth by a C-section. There is no other way it's going to come out. That's biology, unless you want to also alter the hips to allow a baby's head to come through. I've been like the craziness stuff, like this book here, folks, like some of the other the craziness and narcissistic things that people are doing because they want to be inclusive is like, I want to be the first man who turned into a woman who became pregnant so I could have an abortion. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Did you hear that? That is nuts. Just like the NDP convention with everybody with their equity cards and one person who happens to be on this International Day of Visibility, a person that is a trans, so to speak, had a number of cards to jump into the head of the line at the NDP convention so she can speak. And she was so happily, I should say he, but I'll just say she to play along, was so happy to get up there that she spoke so fast and apologetic to the people that were hard of hearing and all that kind of stuff. It was chaotic. I mean, I kind of wish I could have went there for the shits and giggles that what happened at the NDP convention. I crap you not, folks. Yes, I do. Anyways, folks, I am going to let's see. Am I still alive? And I think I'm going to end the show because I am petering out and I am trying to figure out how to turn this off because I am missing that. I'm not even sure if I'm truly live, to be honest with you, but the live button did click off and I know YouTube makes changes. So I will have to check this out and figure it out. Anyways, folks, the scone, yes, before I go, and I just think, oh, there we go. I just saw my 27-minute mark. Perfect timing. Anyway, scone is good for people who are missing a loved one or inspiration. That is up to you, the viewer. That just want to remind you, you will always see that scone lit. Maya, the young girl who I talked about in Tumbler Ridge, is apparently out of ICU and she has something taken out of her, I guess, to help her breathe. It's been 26 hours since I read that post that she's doing well on her own. She can move her leg. She is responsive. So for all the people that prayed for that young girl, Maya, continue praying, and hopefully she can go to Tumbler. She's from Tumbler Ridge, but hopefully she can go to California and go meet those surgeons, and they can make her better. Also, folks, please go visit an SPCA. You don't have to adopt, but you can go get a fur ball if you want to. Okay, positive vibes. Take care, folks. Enjoy the night. And sorry for the later broadcast, but it is what it is. And hopefully I will start earlier someday soon. Take care. Yeah, I didn't even use the light. Not once. Well, let's play with it now. Yes, the world. Let's do a Mark Carney impersonation. Yes, the world's a more dangerous and divided place as I travel around the world on your time and money. Anyways, folks, that's a little bit of humor there for you. Take care. Stop.